We're seeing some significant consolidation, pullbacks, and even some breakdowns in the altcoin market. Danger, is the rally over? What's coming next? Is it time to start looking for dips to buy, or is it time to sit on the sidelines and wait for clear signals? I've got Wick here today. This is Trading Alpha every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to run through a whole bunch of charts and tell you what we're seeing and, more importantly, what we're doing. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the little bell so that you get those alerts. I'm going to go ahead and bring Wick on right now. What are you thinking, man? What are you thinking?
Well, I think we've definitely had a little change in dynamic, but it's nothing unexpected. To sum it up, and we can run through this, but I think that if you are swing trading, it's definitely time to pay attention, maybe do some risk management. And I think that if you are investing, I think you're just fine, Scott.
Yeah, I did a stream on Monday at about this time, and people gave me a whole ton of chart requests, and I ran through them, obviously using Trading Alpha. And my consensus at that time was I'm not ready to buy dips yet. And obviously we've seen bigger dips kind of in the last 2 days. I was just starting to see a lot of sort of exhaustion, a lot of coins testing track lines and starting to turn red and then losing the track lines in the last 2 days. So I definitely have had some concerns on some of the daily charts, but weeklies, minus a few where we're still, printing those candles, still pretty much green.
Yeah. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to just run through some diagnostics here. So guys, what I like to do during times like this is to see if there's anything systemically that's changed, right? Because most times price action events like this, or even little news events, can be faded. So let's just run through and see if we've got any headwinds. And let's start with the dollar. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, whenever this moves up, when the dollar moves up in price, it presents a headwinds for risk assets. Okay. And what we're currently seeing right now is we do have a nice consolidation period, but we are making higher lows, okay, on the dollar. And currently we do have a squeeze shading. You guys know what happens when we have these squeeze shadings, right? We wait for the breakout arrow either up or down, and once it starts, it's usually the start of a brand new trend, okay? Like it was right there. There's a short trend right here, and we're currently seeing another squeeze shading. We also know that a lot of times when we see assets that are continuously trying to break out to the upside on squeeze shadings, kind of like we had earlier this year on Ethereum, Scott, it kind of means that the market wants to test higher prices, okay? So just know that the dollar is pushing higher. We do have green dots, and there is a squeeze shading, okay? So that could present a headwind. That could be in confluence to what Scott is saying to, maybe just be cautious right now in the interim period, not long term, but in the interim period. Moving on to oil, okay? Oil is another thing. So oil is one of those things that not many people watch, but it actually pulls a ton of global liquidity. So when oil is going up, it's pulling that from other markets, okay? And what we're seeing right now is the same thing we're seeing in the dollar, but just a little bit sooner of a breakout. It is breaking out to the upside. We did have that squeeze shading. Again, what these squeeze shadings let you know is that an extreme move is coming, and a lot of times when you get that breakout arrow, it ends in a nice trend. This was a nice short one. Sometimes they go on much longer, okay? So we are seeing a squeeze breakout. So to recap, that is the dollar and oil kind of telling us, listen, in the interim period, I mean, this isn't too big. It's not breaking resistance or anything, but the interim period, we should be a little bit cautious as far as headwinds go, okay? Now let's go and take a look at the S&P 500. Now that we've looked at anything that could cause issues, let's see how liquidity is doing in stocks. And I think that this is going to be more of a synergistic market. The more that crypto evolves and the more that TradeFi is kind of married into what we have in crypto. So you do see here that we have a strong channel to the upside. The green dots have not stopped printing. So the stock market is saying that it's still relatively strong, okay? So nothing systemically in the chart has changed in stocks. We do have some temporary headwinds in oil and the dollar, but overall, it's looking like this bull market is not over by any means, but it might simply have a pause in risk assets, right? The crypto being more of a riskier asset than the S&P 500. But now let's go ahead and actually look at Bitcoin now that we know the macro framework, sort of, a little bit of the headwinds. And what we see here on the weekly chart, and I'll get to the daily, but let's first talk about our investors, our people that want a DCA for long term. They might be getting scared, okay, with this pullback. We are very extended past the track line. This can show signs of being a little bit overbought, and a little bit of a pullback is warranted, okay? So we still have green dots though, guys, and that's what I want you to focus on. When you have big assets, specifically like Bitcoin and Solana, these few high cap assets, when you watch the weekly chart, it's really all you need to know, or all I need to know, all I take away before I start getting worried, okay? So again, we do have the green dots. We did have a little close as well above the all-time high, a good sign, but altogether, it's a little bit of mixed signals, okay? And what we would like to do in this time is, we see the halving is right here. So let's do this. Let's go back in time and let's see what generally happens. And it doesn't always have to repeat itself, but it's been rhyming so far. Let's see what's happened in the past halvings leading up to them and what happens generally right afterwards. Okay. So here is the halving of 2020. And you can see here that even though this doesn't look like a big move, I think off the lows, this was about 350% move off the lows. And then what happened after the halving is we kind of had a non-event, right? It wasn't, so to speak, a sell the news event, but it did end up testing the track line, which right now we're very far away on the chart. But nonetheless, it was kind of a non-event, right? Everyone waits for the halving. And this is kind of what tends to happen in the past. We'll look at the previous halving, but this is right before that parabolic move. So when you're asking people, could it be time to sideline? I wouldn't exit your long-term positions, but if you are in swing trades, and we'll look at the daily here in a minute, it might be a minute to take a pause, take a breather, and we are in a lot of profits. Let's look at the last halving, and let's not forget to mention these bottom signals that played out perfectly in all the cycles. But let's look at this halving, this next halving here. Let's zoom out, and here is the one that happened in 2016 to make that 2017 bull run that we all remember very clearly. And Scott, what's funny is I was talking to a friend of mine who was a macroeconomist, and he is the one that got me into Bitcoin in 2016. This is just a side note. I didn't know this, but I knew that he was in Raw Paul's cycle. But yesterday he informed me that it was actually Raul that is responsible for me actually getting into Bitcoin, because he told me at the time Raul was beating the table to him for Bitcoin, and that's the only reason why he came to me. Amazing. So I found that out. It's kind of cool. Okay, getting back on track. Sorry, guys, little loopy here. So we have the halving here, and we did have the same thing, right? About a 400% from the lows turn up here to the halving, and then look what happened. Not only did we have a non-event, but we did have a sell the news event, and look what happened. I mean, this went from 768 all the way to a low of 473. That's almost half. We can call that what, 40% retrace. Okay, so the retrace that we're having right now and what we've seen in this bull market has been very shallow in respectively to other cycles. Okay, but you can see here that in 16 we did have a sell the news event before the real move happened. Okay, guys, so let's just keep this in perspective. Doesn't mean this is gonna happen, but it has rhymed so far, and that's what I wanted to show people, Scott. I just wanted to keep it in perspective that normally these halvings, it doesn't go straight up afterwards. What we see right now is one halving went into consolidation, and one halving we even have a sell the news event temporarily. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, so I've been saying over and over again for the last few weeks that it wouldn't surprise me at all if we have a halving and then we chop for like 4 or 5, 6 months, just like the other ones. And then it's in the fall, we go up. All summers are almost always boring in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and guys, if we have that, you can't be mad. I mean, I'm showing you the charts right now. Scott's not making this up. I mean, this is historically what we've done, right? But if you get out of your long-term positions and it starts, you're in trouble, especially if you're in the US, because if you're in long-term positions in the US, then you definitely want to hold for a year and 1 day so you don't get that 40% capital gains tax. But let's move on here. You can see, sorry, Scott.
No, perfect. I want to show the daily because it had me a little concerned.
Yes, yes. I'm trying to keep that for for a minute here, but you're absolutely right. So we can see that the cycle is played out beautifully. We can see the dots all worked. Bottom signal. Let's just move on to where we're currently at, so I can just remind you before I show you this topping signal that Scott actually pointed out to me on the daily. Just remember, if you're in investment positions long term, you shouldn't be looking at the daily. You should be focusing on the weekly. However, if you are a swing trader, okay, swing trader meaning that your time frame for trades can be, I would say, weeks, well, let's say days to weeks. And I always cut it off at about 3 months. So if your time frame for trading in and out is 3 months or less, well, then yes, you should be getting concerned. And let me go ahead and pull up this topping signal. We'll use the regular topping signal right here, and you can see what's happened. Okay, now let's talk about this. This topping signal right here, it is not confirmed. Again, to be confirmed, for those of you that don't know our indicators and signals, we wait for one of the next two bars to close below the wick of the signal bar of the topping signal. Okay, and guys, you can see what happened here. We go up here, have a topping signal delineated. When this is delineated, it's usually a bullish signal, but then at the very, very top, Trading Alpha prints a topping signal that is very much then confirmed by the second bar. And if it wasn't confirmed by the second bar, you certainly got a scare on that first bar, testing the track line, right? But remember what I said, guys. We have cycles. Cycles go in stages. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And this is for all things. This is if you're investing, or if you're swing trading, or if you're even scalping. Okay, they all have many cycles, whether they're big or small relative to your time frame. What this looks like to me, guys, this looks like we've had our little stage 2 uptrend on the daily chart for you swing traders only. Okay, but it looks like we're presenting topping signals and starting to go sideways. This is relative of I almost said stage 2. Stage 3, baby. This is a consolidation, okay? If that wasn't enough for cycle analysis on our tools, you can see that we held green dots all the way up. Green dots did stop over here. Now, remember, if you're in a lot of profit, when the dots do stop, even on the daily, right? Even if they've stopped before, which I don't see that they have, you should be starting to think to yourself, I'm in a lot of profit. Why take that chance? If it always breaks out into continuation stage 2, above resistance, you can always jump back in. But yeah, this should have been your signal for me. And I think I even said this when this happened, to take some profits off of the table. Okay. What do we have since then? Because markets normally don't go from a stage 2 to a stage 4 unless it's Dogecoin or some meme coins. Normally in a really quality asset, you don't have a stage 4 to stage 2 to stage 4, just like you don't have a bear market in stocks and then it goes to stage 2 unless you have quantitative easing or some synthetic stimulus. In this case, no. So we're starting a stage 3 basing pattern. Does this mean that we go into stage 4 and break below? It doesn't, okay? But it does mean to pay some caution to the wind here. Pay some caution to the wind. What am I saying, Scott? Have caution, okay? This topping signal. Yeah. Thank you. This topping signal here is confirmed. That should have been your first sign. This topping signal right here also is confirmed, okay? 2 topping signals together. This tells me it's a double top. I'm sure if Scott went and pulled up some RSI, he might or might not see some bearish divergence as well, okay? That's another tip of how I like to confirm, or at least give extra confluence when I see double tops, okay? But nonetheless, we do have red dots on the daily. Guys, if you're in a swing trade and you have our tools, and you've seen all this and you have not exited, I can't make it any more clear to you, okay? So mid-time frame, up to 3 months. If you're in a trade, I'm with Scott here. Be cautious, take some profits off the table. What I usually like to do in stage 3 is I usually like to take 50% of my profits off the table. And I know this chart's getting a little messy here. And then what happens is if it does break into stage 4, cool, you have your stop loss, you're out completely, and half your profits were booked already, okay? Conversely, if we go and draw a little resistance right here, and it does end up breaking upwards while you sold 50% of your position, no big deal. The breakout is your confirmation of a continuation stage 2. You simply redeploy. This is called smart risk management, okay? We ready to move on to Solana, Scott, or you got anything else?
No, I think it's worth moving on to Solana. I just wanted to say that I saw that same sort of thing on a lot of altcoins. So on a lot of the alts, they look a little worse than Bitcoin. When you look at the daily has already below the track line, even for maybe 2 days, plus some red dots. And that's what kind of had me concerned. And even a few of the weeklies on the bigger ones, I was looking at XRP, ADA, I think Chainlink, potentially losing dots and really pushing towards the track line. So I'm just being very, very cautious here, I think is all I'm saying. I've been saying this for weeks anyways. When meme coins started going up, it started getting me a little bit more worried about the market. So, but there are some that still look good.
I'm with you, man. You got to underline that risk management, Scott. And you know what? I'm so glad that you took to our tools. Because obviously, right, when the green dot stopped here, I had a few positions. It wasn't big at all. I'm more investing this cycle. But it's so cool you pointing out these tops to me, because I actually didn't see them until now because I wasn't in this move. So really cool, really cool. Moving on to Solana. Okay, guys. Now, again, I'm going to start with the weekly chart because this is my favorite coin of the cycle. And I want to let you guys know that if you are investing, it is not time to start worrying. Okay, we still have green dots. And once we break, again, right, guys, if you want to follow me at 0hedge_, I draw these stage 2 patterns. And once they break above them, okay, we kind of passed a lot of this now. There's only a few left. But once it goes into that parabolic move, you simply just hold as long as you have green dots. I always stay redundant on this because I'm trying to prove a point here, okay? Even during the shakeout, it kept you in the move on the weekly chart, okay, when you're investing. And right now, guys, there's no reason to worry. We still have the green dots, and they even held when we had this big drawdown over here, okay? And we're, again, just coincidentally above our little resistance now turned support. Okay, you can see there's no closed blow here. So I've got no worries at all with Bitcoin as far as investing timeframes. I've got no worries as far as Solana. But yeah, when you start to look at the daily charts and a lot of things, temporarily, it might be time to just relax and wait for a better entry. Or if you are DCAing, be a little patient. You might get a better entry as well. Because remember, the halving is coming. And we just went over that. So yeah, guys, have some patience. I don't think you understand the profits that we've made in this bull market so fast is unlike anything you'll see in any market ever. So be glad that it's happened. Have some patience. Go book some a little vacation at the beach. And let's let this play out. Okay, moving on to Ethereum. I want to show you guys the same thing. On the weekly chart, we still have green dots, right? I'm going over the big three. Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, okay, still have green dots, and it's right here. Now, also, I want to point this out too. We have 4 days over here on all these weekly charts that I've shown you, okay, for this last candle to do anything. It might even close above this support here. So give it some time. I wouldn't overtrade right now unless you're in either scalping or swing trade positions. That's lower time frame or mid time frame. If you're in higher time frame, though, don't overtrade, don't overthink this. But again, this is not financial advice. It's just how I manage my stuff and how I am managing my positions right now. Scott, anything on Ethereum? I know we've had a lot of talk about it lately.
I mean, it looks bad on the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, but still looks very good, I think, on the ETH USD pair. But I did see it started. I was looking at ETH bits. Guys, I changed my colors. I'm sorry, to make it look like mine. So gray is green, and you have seen this. Blue is red. But we do have at least some potential bottoming signals here on the weekly. I guess we'll see if it can close above. I mean, on the daily. But yeah, I'm flustered that ETH Bitcoin has done literally nothing. But to your point, it still looks great on the USD pair. So I'm still hanging out.
Scott had to change them green dots to blue dots. He had to do it. I knew he was going to do it at some point because he loves that blue and white, and it does.
I just like it's unique and it doesn't trigger me. I hate.
But there's a little tear. There's a little tear, Scott. There's a little tear coming out of my eye right now.
Green and red just it triggers emotions. I like to keep it out. Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. Moving on here to BSV. Okay. Again, I hate talking about this, but I mean, it's popping. Okay. So you can see here that it's gone into from your stage 1 basing pattern for those of you that are on our Discord and follow our structures and how we go about things. Okay. So I would say that my first one would be right there. Boom. And it's perfect, right? So you see from here, from the pivot point, you can see it even retested it, confirming that this was your stage 2 part 1 breakout. Okay. But we've yet to hit that stage 2 part 2 for those of you that are familiar with my work. And I would say it was right here, which look at that, lines up perfectly. Okay. So until we have a close above here, I think you're going to see some more consolidation, especially if the market is a little bit weak. Okay, but this is showing a lot of promise. It has had some good gains. We did catch this early. I believe two trading alpha shows ago. We brought this to everyone's attention that it looked like it was breaking out. Again, this is on the weekly charts, but again, I wouldn't get into any new positions, guys, until the market kind of catches its breath and sees what it wants to do, at least a little bit after the halving, in my opinion, if you want me to be honest. But once this closes above this area here, it becomes a high probability setup. Nothing is absolute, but high probability setup that we start one of those stage 2 parabolic moves, and it's probably not going to be as strong as Solana, but nonetheless, watch BSV. Craig's doing some crazy stuff over there.
I can't. And I agree with you. I'm a trader.
I know.
Anything. BSV. Fuck that guy.
I hear you. I'm of the same opinion.
I'm not blaming you. It's funny because Chris Inks was on this morning, and I think he was looking at BCH or BSV, one of them, or maybe it was last week. But everybody, I mean, they've gone up. BCH and BSV have both gone up.
I'm cringing inside as I do this part of the Trading Alpha show. So let's move on as quick as we can. And let's move on to NEAR. So look, guys, forget about that guy. NEAR is looking pretty good. It has green. Okay, so remember, guys, it's broken out, retesting the stage 2 line. Now remember, this was part 1 when it breaks above here. Part 2, retest, goes parabolic. I don't make this stuff up. Once you go past stage 2, part 2, baby, that's go time. Okay, got green dots. They lost over here. Retest on my line. We had this up beforehand. Okay, and I've been calling this with Scott for quite a while now. Now, what do we have? We have a retest of my little resistance now turned support, and it's confirming support here by 2 touches. Okay, now in crypto, guys, when you have touches, you can see it's not exactly touching. Well, come on, it's Bitcoin alone is a 50 vol asset. So with your TA, you have to accept little things that are messy. And I'm not saying this to make excuses. I'm actually saying it to prove a point here. When you see things like this, I consider them confirmations. And what do we have? We do have a green dot off of our support zone now. Okay, now would I buy this even though this is one of our setups? No, because you do a top-down approach, meaning you watch the market, you watch Bitcoin, just like in stocks. If I'm trading stocks, if the S&P 500 starts to look weak, fat chance I'm looking for individual stocks, right? But as soon as it gathers its feet again and it looks good, maybe I'm looking at these stocks that I've been watching. So watch NEAR. It is having a good reaction, even though Bitcoin is having a little bit of weakness on the interim time frame. But I do like NEAR for the next setup. Let's see. Okay, if you're extra cautious, just wait for it to close above that. Your continuation stage 2 will resume, in my opinion, if the market gathers its feet anytime soon. Oh, Scott, I lost you. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted when I coughed. That's exactly my thinking. There's just, as much as I want to make a live stream that tells you all the amazing things you should buy right now, sometimes you just sit on your hands and touch some grass and chill and see what happens. Seems like one of those times to me.
100%, Scott. In my opinion, you couldn't be any more right. That's what I'm doing. I'm not getting into any new swing trade positions. For those of you that know me, I don't do scalping. Shardy does scalping. She uses our indicators. But for me, it's mainly investing. Last cycle was more swing trading, and I'm doing a little bit of swing trading, and I'm not getting into any position. So again, if you need confidence from me, guys, this is a good time to just relax. Stay patient. We've had a good run. Let the market gather its feet, gather some breath. Let's see what happens after the halving, and then we'll be back on the next Trading Alpha show to give you guys the 1-2.
100%. For those of you who have not been here before, we do have to tell you we just stared at a whole bunch of charts using a custom indicator called Trading Alpha that Mr. Wick created himself, and the only place you can get 25% off on it all the time is down below. You click the link down below. It's in the description. But for those of you watching on Twitter, X, go to YouTube. It's in the description, and type in 25 off, and that'll get it for you. Just so you guys know, because this is what we're both using. Shardy's using it, and you guys have seen now it's just what I'm using, which is crazy because I was so set in my ways.
You were, Scott. You were. I'm glad I got you on board. And for those of you that want to take advantage of the 25% off sale, again, I only have this 2 to 3 times a year. I've never extended it this long, but please do me a favor. If you guys are taking advantage of it, I get so many of you that forget to put in that 25 off code. I know you're excited, but please, guys, it makes it so hard for us. I'm almost at the point where I might not be giving the discount if you guys don't put in that 25 off code. So don't forget to do that. Go to Scott's link in the comments, type in 25 off before you pay. It's right during checkout, and it will drop that price substantially.
Amazing. Are we gonna get Shardy on here one day?
You know, I've been talking to her. I don't think it's out of question. So maybe we can, man. Maybe we can. If you guys want to follow Shardy, that's at Shardy B2, SHARDI, for all you short-term time frame traders. We got everyone here. We got Scott on the higher time frames, me on the mid and higher, and Scott on the lower time frames. Check us out, and we'll keep you on track.
All right, guys, that's all we got for you. We will see you on the next one. Thanks, Wick, man. Speak to you soon.
Anytime. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Let's go.